Hello everybody, this is Shane with Stoner's Woodworking, and I'm about to turn this piece of walnut into the coolest coffee table you probably have ever seen or ever will see in your life. So here we go. So just like that, we have our first problem. Well, actually we have two problems. First problem is that it is raining outside, of course. The second and more important problem is this thing is not even close to flat. On this planer joiner jig here, and I'm gonna get it shimmed up and try to get it as flat as I possibly can because I don't want it to get ruined when I go to pour the resin. So sadly, I'm probably gonna lose a good amount of thickness, but I have an idea in the end that might save me. So now it's time to pick my design out, and I was kind of stumped between these two. I wasn't really a fan of this cut edge here, but I didn't want to cut out all this figure in the crotch there either. So just like any normal person would, I went over to my Instagram and did a poll on my story to see which design everyone liked better. And you can see the bottom one just edged out the top one, so that's what I ended up going with. Alright, it's time to build the mold. done. Now it's time for the fun to begin. But before the fun begins, I wanted to send out a special thanks to Ice Epoxy. They actually sent me the epoxy for this project here, and I'm super excited to try it out. It's a deep pour epoxy. It's a 2-to-1 ratio, so we're gonna go ahead and give it a good test. I'm going to be doing a matte black color, so let's do it. All right, it has been a week of letting this cure and it is rock hard. So I can't tell you how excited I am to get this thing out of the mold and take a look at it. So I'm not gonna waste any more time, I'm just gonna go do it. All right, let's get this thing flat. Well, that's one side down. All right, fast forward a couple hours, and now I'm planning to make the legs. Of course I'm not going to put metal legs on this thing. If I want it to look awesome, I'm gonna make a nice set of wooden legs. I did some pre-design on AutoCAD here, and you can kind of see what I'm going for. 2 trapezoidal legs, I guess, if you want to call them that, but kind of simple, but not too simple. But I don't want to take away too much from the top, so we're gonna start onto those. All right, so for the base, I'm going to walk everyone through here of my thought process and what I was doing throughout. So I had this really thick piece of walnut here that I thought would be perfect for the legs. My plan was to go ahead and get this plane down and try to get 5 different strips out of it so I could use just this single board for the entire base. Spoiler alert, it worked out just how I wanted it to. Once I got it to the thickness I liked, I went over to the table saw and roughed up a square edge here. And I ended up doing this in 2 passes because I didn't really want the table saw blade to be higher than it needed to be. Next, I'm cutting this piece into 5 1.5 inch strips here. And as you can see, I got them nice and straight there. Then I'm headed over to my miter gauge and I'm going to do a 10-degree cut, which actually turned into a 7-degree cut later because it was a bit too aggressive. Anyways, now I'm just cutting out all the pieces that I'm going for, and here is my layout that I have so far. Then I cut my top piece out, which would be home to the threaded inserts and the screws, and I purposely made this thinner than all the rest of the pieces. Next, time to get everything glued up. I cut out these blocks here that had an equal 7-degree angle so I could get good clamping pressure on each side here. Then I tried to wipe the glue joints clean with a wet rag and waited for them to dry. Next, I just hit everything with a little bit of 60 grit sandpaper just to get everything smooth up here. Then I cut out the stretcher board that would go in between the two base pieces. Next, I'm throwing just a little 45-degree chamfer on anything here, and it really lightens up the edges and makes them a little bit softer as well. For my stretcher board here, I actually ended up using a dowel on each end just to make sure I got the alignment right. But after that, it was a dry fit, and then once everything fit, it was time to glue up the entire base. Once I had everything situated, I came back with a longer clamp to keep everything pulled tight together and limit the gaps here. My next step is going to be attaching the bottom to the top, and for this I'm using threaded inserts. These are super amazing and easy to use. They allow you to attach and detach the base as many times as you want from the top without losing thread in the wood. Here you can see me twisting them in with the Allen wrench and then getting a matching screw that will fit right into the threaded inserts and screw everything tight. Whew. Okay, yes, that was a lot of information to take in at once, but now it's time to sand and finish for a good while. Finally done with sanding after like 3 hours. Anyways, we're ready to get everything finished up. I'm using walrus oil furniture finish for everything. So let's go ahead and do it. Here we go. Alright everybody, that is going to be the end of this video. I made this coffee table for an upcoming show that I have. This is going to be something that might draw people into my tent. But anyways, I really loved how this turned out and I just couldn't be more happier. If any of you guys think you've learned something or enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing and dropping a like. Thank you so much and I will see you in the next one. Bye.